This is a video response to the vlogbrothers video called What Everyone Gets Wrong About Global Warming. Now I just want to expand upon the conversation a little bit using an analogy that I think will be helpful to sort of help reinforce what they were trying to get across in this video. Now the idea that they were trying to explain is the simple fact that any single year in which there are few or no hurricanes to hit the United States is not in and of itself evidence that climate change isn't happening. They're trying to get across that a year that is very inactive is not a trend. It is merely a statistical outlier. The overall trend, though, is that there will tend to be more storms that hit the United States per year, and those storms will tend to be larger and more devastating. So the analogy I want to offer is this. Let's say you had a six-sided die, just like a regular six-sided die, except the sides were a little bit different. Instead of saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they instead said 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 4. Let's say the number of hurricanes to hit the United States in any given year is determined by a roll of this die. So what you have is this situation where, yes, in any single year, the number of hurricanes to hit the coastline is based on random chance. It's a random variable. You roll the die, and whatever number pops up is the number of hurricanes that will hit the United States in that year. Now consider that you were to take that die and change some of the sides. So instead of being 1, 1, 3 2s, a 3 and a 4, now you have a 1, a 2, a couple of 3s, a 4, and a 5. Now, the number of hurricanes in any given year is still determined by a roll of that die. And each year, you roll that die to tell you how many hurricanes are going to hit the United States in that particular year. And now after we've made these changes to the die, the method by which we determine the number of hurricanes to hit the United States is the same method. It's still a roll of the die. It's still random chance. But the part that changed is the tendency. The overall tendency of our results is going to trend towards an increase. One of the sides of the die is still a 1, which means yes, it's still possible that you could get a very inactive year. It's still possible that you could get a very calm year with very little activity going on. But the point is, the overall trend, if you are to look at the probability distribution of how likely it is for a year to happen with more storms and more powerful storms, is an increased probability compared to what you had before. So this analogy describes climate change and the effects it has on the storm patterns in the Atlantic Ocean, really around the world, but especially the Atlantic Ocean, in terms of the number of hurricanes to hit the United States. It's still based on random chance. It's just that the probabilities and the tendencies have skewed in the overall direction of more storms and more severe weather. And what we notice is that as time goes on, we see precedent-setting storms after precedent-setting storms. And we're also seeing, on average, an overall tendency of more storms per year and more powerful storms in general. And this is exactly what we would expect based on the analogy that I described. And it's also exactly what we'd expect based on the science conducted by the world's climate scientists, or at least the vast majority of the world's climate scientists, who've looked into the matter and are telling us that we're in trouble. They're telling us that for good reason. We have to quit kidding ourselves, and we have to quit pretending that we know better than they do, and we have to quit pretending that there's some kind of conspiracy amongst them. Because the truth is, we're already in trouble based on the inaction of previous decades, and the only hope we have of saving the planet, and the only hope we have of saving ourselves from an onslaught of just insane storms and insane hurricane seasons, is to act swiftly now.